Can you tell me how you've seen Austin get better and improve over these last couple of years? Obviously, this season, since midsummer, I mean, he seems like almost a different driver. How has he gotten better?
Well, Jeff, I think all these young guys kind of hit a certain stage, and maybe they're flat out for a while. But I think that interesting is we got into the COVID situation mid-March. I went to Tim. I said, maybe because we don't know what's facing us, we might have to maybe shut down the Xfinity team for maybe a few races in order to see what's going to happen. And I think that at that point we got together and said, hey, we're going to go full bore. And I think Austin obviously knew that he had to show what he could do. And I think that his focus, and really when you think about Brian Wilson and that whole 22 team, what they've been able to do, work together. Austin is committed. He's at the shop with those guys. I mean, he works with them. It's all he's doing. He's focused. And I think like any athlete, you get better. We've tried to give him good equipment. You could see today that he was flawless. I mean, restart after restart, green, white checker at the end. He's a pro. He's a champion today. And I think one more year in this series is going to prepare him to get in the Cup. And I think you need that stair step to get there. But, with Menards, big sponsor, and certainly Ford, we got people that want to see him, be a champion. And this is the first step. There's no question. So I just think it's really part of learning and part of growing up.
We will take our next one from Bob Hawkers. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Roger, obviously with Austin's relationship to Tim, there's always been talk of does he automatically have a ride there? And I'm curious if you think this championship kind of helps either his confidence or just the way people look at him and his ability.
Well, Bob, I'll tell you one thing Tim's done is stayed out of it. I mean, the discussion that we have about Austin and his future is really Mike Nelson, certainly, and Travis Geisler, because, Tim's in a tough spot. But as you know, what I owe him from what he's done for our team, not only in NASCAR, but in the IndyCar side, I think that I saw a young guy committed. I saw him come up the ladder in smaller cars, even open wheel cars, and win. And I think that, look, you love people that are in your family. And this whole people that work in Mooresville, that's a big family. And he's one that has earned it for himself. I think that, look, if he didn't get the job done, Tim would be the first one to say, let's move on. So I don't think he leaned on me at all in order to make this decision. This was a team decision to go forward, certainly with Austin, the decision we made to have him make one more season. I had a young Cindric come to my office in Detroit, and we talked about it at length because, the word was he would move into the 21. And when we sat down and talked about it, we knew the right thing was to make another year in Xfinity. And certainly I told him, you need to leave this end of this season the champion. That's exactly what he's done. So this was not because of Tim Cindric. This is because of Austin Cindric.
All right, we'll take our next one from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey there. TC, my question's for you, and it goes off the topic that Roger just talked about. When Austin got out of the car, he said he wasn't very good when he first started racing, and then he said, but it's about the hard work. It's not about where you start. It's figuring out how to keep going along the way. Do you feel like Austin feels like he has to prove himself and has to come out from under your name?
Well, I think every driver has to prove himself. For him, I've always told him that what he needs to do is earn the respect of those that know him, those that are around him, and those that are in the team. And if he can earn the respect of the guys that work on that car every day, then you'll start to earn the respect of everybody else. But the first thing you have to do is earn the respect of the people around him. And yeah, I guess the proudest thing I've been isn't really his successes on the track, but the way in which he's handled himself otherwise. And, I think when you see the support that he's had, not just from the Penske organization, which, I can't thank everybody enough, within our team, because it's a tough deal to, be the boss's, kid working on his car or whatever else. And as Roger said, I've tried to be the parent that steps back and, lets that thing develop itself. And if he deserves an opportunity, hopefully he's within our organization. But what I've always been most proud of, and I see it on my phone blowing up, is all the people that he's raced with. And when you look at all the different series he's raced and all the different teams he's raced for, Those are the people that know him the best. And, you know, from the outside, you know, he's got very thick skin. He's known that it's going to be a tough road. I told him from the very beginning when he was 10 years old that this really wasn't the road I wanted him to take. And, you know, he's been able to do that, obviously, with the support of people like Roger. And, you know, the Ford group has really stepped up for him all the way back to the Mustang days. You know, when Jamie Allison helped him get his first ride at Road Atlanta in a kind of a mid-pack Mustang. And it was that race really that put him on the map to go forward with the Ford group. So, yeah, it's something that, yeah, he's always kind of had a double standard, and he always will, but I think he's already accepted that.
Also, does it feel any different when it's your kid winning it?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's it probably hasn't soaked in yet. I remember when he won his first race for Roger. You know, it was such a big deal in my mind that, you know, he could always say that he had a chance to drive for Roger Penske, and I think every driver that's ever had that opportunity has made that same comment. And, you know, when it's your son, it's even that much more special. But to see him make his way up through, and, you know, he's always had speed in whatever it is. He's just, you know, this isn't where he was from. He didn't come up through the open wheel or the you know, the short track ranks. So he's had to really apply himself and surround himself with really good people. And tonight he took advantage of that opportunity.
Thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jenna.
All right, we'll take our next ones from Jim Utter. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, this is also for Tim. On the same subject too. We've talked about this in the past, but I just wondered this season, what did you see? I mean, Austin has had success in his stock car racing career, but he really seemed to come into his own this season. In fact, most people would be after the fact shocked to learn he won his first oval track race this year. Then he wins the championship. I just wondered what have you seen in him this year that maybe has separated this season from the previous ones?
I think it's really a culmination of all the learnings. When you look at what he learned, and, you know, I tell him you're going to learn as much from a bad day as you're going to learn from a good day. You probably learn more. And, you know, he spent half the season in the 60 car, and that was a struggle for everybody that drove that car, but it was a huge opportunity for him, you know, to be a part of that team and outside of our fence, if you will, and, you know, get to know guys like Jack Roush and the guys over there, Steve Newmark, and the ones that supported him there, even though his last name was the same as mine. And then last year was really the first year of any continuity where he's been in the same series year after year, because I've always encouraged him to take advantage of whatever's the most difficult thing. You don't need to worry about trophy years, because all those years as a kid, nobody at my level really looks at how many trophies you won in Legends or those type of things. You know, you need to go challenge yourself the most you can. And a lot of people don't realize this is the first time he's ever driven for the same team in the same car 2 years in a row, full season. And that continuity combined with his work ethic and, you know, the guys around him, you know, Coleman Presley, you know, Brad Spotter really took him under his wings and showed him really the right way to prepare for a race. And Austin absorbed that. He's a sponge. He's always been somebody that, whether it's academically or, you know, from a personality standpoint or whatever else, a lot of people don't know him, and they just, you know, make their own conclusions. But he's a kid that's he's got a huge heart, but he's got a lot of determination, and I think you've seen a culmination of all those things this year come together, and this is the result.
And I know you've mentioned this before, but you just said a little bit ago about, again, how you had, and I think your wife too, had kind of tried to dissuade Austin from heading in this direction. What was your reasoning behind that?
I just know I've seen it all. I've lived it all my life. I've never had another job. I've never had a real job, I call it. I've only been in the racing industry, and I've seen how difficult it is. You know, whether you have the backing, everybody in the sport has to have some kind of backing. You know, these race cars aren't free. And, you know, I told him when he was in high school that, you know, we've been able to help him to a certain amount. And there's a lot of people that don't believe this, but I said to him that you're going to have to go to college and do your thing, or you're going to have to find your own way up in the racing world. You know, there's not a parachute for you, you know, from your mom and dad. And, he figured out how to work that through. And like I said, the Ford guys really supported him, from the beginning. And, Roger was very supportive of who he was, and, gave him an opportunity really because of not what his last name was, but he's known Roger since he was 1 year old. You have to remember that the rest of us all meet Roger sometime in life and are pretty intimidated by, me included. I've worked for him for 21 years, and he's still Mr. Penske to me. So I look at it and I see it through his eyes, and through his eyes, it's normal. What's around him is normal. This doesn't intimidate him. And Roger taught him how to shake hands. He taught him, a lot of things along the way, and he knew who he was. And obviously gave him the opportunity to try and show what he could do. So, yeah, it's, from my side, the first thing when he said he wanted to try and become a professional race car driver at 10 years old, I looked at him and told him he was going to be too tall to be a race car driver, thinking that would, end it right there. And he said, "That's not true. Michael Waltrip's taller than you, Dad." So he's successful. I can be successful. So that's where it all started.
Thank you very much, Tim, and congratulations.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, we have time for one more question with Tim. He does have some other media obligations, so we will go to Alex Andreev. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, Tim. Thank you so much for your time and congratulations. Austin had mentioned before this race that he wanted to do more than just run road courses in Cup next year. And I'm wondering kind of how many, Cup races you expect him to be in, and then what else does he need to do really to improve given this win tonight?
Well, I think it's a good question, and I leave that really to, as Roger said, Michael Nelson and Travis Geisler. They're the ones that internally have been guiding his career, and they're the ones that I confide in with my opinions. And Jefferson's been there right along the way, and my way of really helping Austin in a professional sense. I want to be his dad. I want to be the support system that he needs when he needs it on his good days and bad days. And I'm fortunate that we've got really good people around him that I can talk to and at least give them my viewpoint. But if they don't agree with how I see it, I have no problem with them directing him in the right way, because that's what we've set up and that's the system we have. But relative to races, I know Roger had mentioned that he asked Austin to come up to Detroit to talk to him about his future. And there's a kid that gets on an airplane and flies there. He's never been to the we call it the mothership, Penske headquarters, to sit down with Roger and Mark Rushbrook and sit down and talk about the future all by himself. He doesn't have an agent. He doesn't have anybody around him to really do that, other than whatever advice Megan and I can give him with how to handle himself. So when they talk to him about doing some Cup races next year, and the assumption is still want to do road races because maybe that's where he'll succeed, maybe more so just because of his experience. But he understands that you don't want to be specific to a road course driver. You have to have that balance, and to be successful, you have to be able to win at places like Phoenix. And we don't race for the championship on a road course. We race for the championship on ovals. And he's known that he needs a balance of all that. So answer your question is that I know that they want to keep his rookie status, for the next year. So it's 7 or less, and I think that'll all be determined later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Tim. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Congratulations on the win for your son and for your team. So we'll let you go go handle some other media obligations, and we will take one more question here for Roger before we. So if you do have one, please click the participants tab and raise your hand. Mark, did you have a question for Roger?
Yes, I do. Mr. Penske, congratulations on the Xfinity Series championship. I was going to ask Tim this, but I think you could answer this too. Tim's been a part of Team Penske for obviously over a decade. What was it like for you to watch him see his son win the title?
Well, obviously, to be side by side with him, and all of us know that you might be leading with 10 to go or even 5 to go, but something could happen, and sure it did here today. But I think the most resounding thing that for me and for Tim, and I'm sure Megan, is that he ran a clean race, a tough race. He raced the best in Xfinity, and he won. And I think that we don't even have to talk about it. I think internally, because we've seen so many drivers come up through the organization and have success, knowing that he touched every button, every green button today and won the championship. So to me, just to be there to see that and see everybody in the suite just erupt there at the end. And of course, there's nothing like it. That's why we want to come back tomorrow and the next weekend and the next weekend and try to bring young people and drivers that represent our company, represent our brand, and obviously we get to build good young people like we have in the past. So I think we both said, hey, we put a check in the box this weekend, and certainly Megan was here, who's been at every single race. When Tim's been off helping me, she's there, helping her son, and I think this is a real family effort.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations and good luck to your drivers and team this tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Roger, for taking the time to join us. Congratulations on your championship tonight, and we wish you the best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yep. We hope to see you back tomorrow. And we are going to get right into questions here for our race winning crew chief, our championship winning crew chief, I should say, Brian Wilson. So I will get that spotlighted for you. And you are all set to go. Thank you so much. All right. Let me see here. All right.
Okay. We'll continue with our 2020 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion crew chief, and that's Brian Wilson. We'll go right to question. Got a few already in the queue, and we'll kick it off down here in the media center with Jeff Glow. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Brian. Can you tell us about how Austin would manage to improve this year? I mean, obviously, up till Kentucky, you guys didn't have the wins, and they came in a burst, and he ends up with more oval wins than road course wins this year. How did that all happen?
Yeah, well, first off, it's nice to see everybody back. It's awesome to get back to doing this. But, yeah, it's been – honestly, it wasn't just this year. I feel like it's been a 3-year process of us working together. Austin does a great job of giving feedback. He does debriefs. So we've got a long history of notes, very detailed notes. So it's just the work that he puts into it as far as the homework of, making sure that he does the debriefs, and then the week of we make sure we study them. We've tried to build a team around him that really embraces that. So Coleman Presley does a great job. He's obviously got a racing background. So from him, being a part of the group, he can really give the feedback to Austin from that side of things. And then, just as a group, we always do a lot of film review. So it's a lot of the work that we do during the week that's allowed him to really get to this point. And I think the biggest thing is I've had to come up with setups that work with him. Previously, I would have been basing them off of setups that worked with Brad or Joey or Blaney, but we've had to come up with a completely different style of setup that he likes. So that's really the Kentucky time frame. That's kind of when it started to click, when we really got that setup where we needed it to be. So obviously that was the highlight of the season, but I feel like the speed was always kind of there. We just happened to rattle them off in a row.
And we'll go to Bob here down in the media center.
Yeah, Brian, you obviously heard us asking those guys about, Austin and being Tim's son. And I'm curious, you being around him so much, have you ever felt like that has bothered him and or motivated him?
As far as Austin, has it bothered him? I don't think, obviously he's got a great support group around him as far as, his family, obviously they, have a long history in racing. So I don't think that's ever been anything that's bothered him. It's a great asset. But I think it's just the impression. I know when he first started in this garage, he really wanted to prove himself, to prove that he belonged in this garage. And, it's been a long process of getting to this point. I think, initially right off the bat, guys raced him, like they would have a rookie. But, anytime that they race him a little bit rough, I feel like he might have thought, well, is that kind of because of my background or is it because I'm a rookie? But I feel like we've obviously gotten over that hurdle to where, I don't feel like that's been anything that's been in his mind this year.
Next, we'll go to Sterling Price. Go ahead, Sterling. Zoom.
Thank you, Brian. First of all, congratulations on the championship win tonight. Just concerning the race itself, was there any debate as to leave Austin out there under the last caution?
Yeah, those were some tough calls. I based that on what I saw in the truck race last night. I'm good friends with Jeff Stankiewicz, and I watched him make that call. Talked to him this morning about it. And, just watching between that and what I saw in the Cup race in the spring where it seemed like tires really mattered. I was pretty nervous when I left him out there with 6 laps on the tires because there were a couple situations that I saw where, even 7 laps on tires could have been the difference. But, Austin did a great job fighting off in that situation to hold the track position. And then once we had, 20 plus laps on our tires, I think at that point I had to make the call. I was really happy to see that we lined up third in that situation, made it a little bit easier. But yeah, overall, I think that call was a little bit easier than the one where I left him out.
Thanks, Brian. Congrats on the championship.
Thank you.
We have a follow-up here to Bob.
Yeah, Brian, I assume there was a lot of question of whether this team was going to actually have 2 parts to this. I don't know if you heard Roger say that he thought about shutting down the Xfinity program. Was that news to you? Had you heard that, and was you guys worried about it?
Well, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that tonight, but we've always known all along that this was we don't pay the bills. That's the bottom line. And typically we don't race in anything but Premier Series. So, it's tough, especially when a pandemic hits, especially when you've got, sponsors that are going through tough times as well. So we've always known that it was kind of right there on the, on the fence the whole time. And we knew that we had to perform. We felt that pressure, but I don't think we changed any of our process. We believed in that. And, I think that's what allowed us to kind of stay focused on it, even when all that was going on around us.
And he actually said he meant that during the pandemic. So, okay. And then do you feel like once it was announced that Austin would do another full Xfinity season, how much of a sense of relief was it for your guys? And did that impact performance at all?
Yeah, obviously any reassurance during these times is huge. I think for Austin, it was a big weight off of his shoulders to know what he's going to be doing for the next couple of years. But it's also a challenge. That's typically, at Penske, we've got a lot of resources around us, and we know that because we have that, we've got to perform. It's the same type of thing here where there's nothing guaranteed. None of that announcement was based on Austin. There's nothing guaranteed that any of our group's going to be able to move up, and we feel like we have to earn that right. Obviously, putting results up like this goes a long ways towards that. But next year we feel like we've got to continue doing that.
Any final questions for Brian? Okay, I think we're done. Congratulations, Brian. Outstanding season and a really good race tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to tell Eric that you'll step in tomorrow? You're going to start searching for Tahoe? Champ is here. Thank you. Congrats.
Didn't do anything. Okay.
Okay, we are now joined by our 2020 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, and that is Austin Cindric. We'll get right to questions. We have several in the queue already. And we'll start down here with Jeff Gluck, and then move on to Bob, and then Jerry Jordan in the press box.
Hey, Austin, in one of your interviews post-race, maybe on MRN or something, you talked about how, when you started Legend Cars, you weren't good and you had to get better. And your message was to aspiring racers out there, it's not where you start, but ultimately you can get better. So over the years, how did you get better? And how did you get better recently enough that you end the season winning more oval races than road course races?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I've driven a lot of different cars. I've had a lot of different teammates and competitors, and I've done a lot of observing as far as, everyone's learning curve is different. My learning curve has required a lot of hard work, a lot of preparation, a lot of studying, a lot of self-criticism. And for me, that's the hard work that I had to put in, and every driver has different things they need to improve on. And for me, when I started out in Bandoleros and Legends cars, I wasn't the kid that had already been go-kart racing for 3 or 4 years. I found it difficult, and then racing when you're already not as fast as you want to be, and getting run over, and the summer shootout stuff's difficult. I mean, especially as a kid, to understand that no one wants to give you anything, and then there's parents out there that want to do the same thing to you. It's a tough challenge as a kid, and I was fortunate to have parents and the right people around me. I may not have been in the fastest car every single time when I was a kid, but I had people that were teaching me hard work. A guy named Stephen Abbey. He was pretty much my big brother through all. We traveled around the country racing Legends cars, and he taught me to be tough, not to take anything from anyone. And like I said, it's not about where you start, but it's about how you grow yourself. And some of that comes through self-awareness. I figured that out early on in my career. That's what I started to lack, and that's how I grew the most in a short amount of time. But overall, yeah, a lot's happened in a short amount of time in my career, and I probably never would have told you 10 years ago that I'd be winning races for Roger Penske at this level. As a 22-year-old, I would have firmly told you that that's crazy. So I'm proud to be here. I'm proud of the work that I've put in to get here, and still a lot more to go.
Next, we'll go to Bob.
Yeah, I have a couple. First, Roger said that during the pandemic, while there was the break, he thought about shutting down the Xfinity team. Did you know that? And at that time, what were you thinking?
I had a very good idea that was a possibility. So for me, that's something out of my control, out of any driver's control. Obviously, someone like Roger Penske, when he says that you're gonna run the whole year, and he's gonna make sure everything can happen to do that. So I trusted that if it wasn't gonna happen, it wasn't gonna happen. And obviously, we've had great success since that point in the year, and I'm not sure that's a catalyst for it, but that's a lot of motivation. And then to be able to announce early on in the playoffs that we're coming back for another season, I think it's a great thing, and I think motivates a lot of people in the shop that hard work and preparation and the work that we've put in to have this success does matter. whether if that's from an internal level or partnership level. I'm sure that it's gone a long way for sure.
And I know we've talked about it before, but does a championship, do you care about perception? Does it help with any perception of people thinking you get what you deserve versus your last name?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really even. That's the first time I've thought about that this whole week. So I guess it's not on the forefront of my mind. But as far as my own perception or the perception of others, obviously we've gone out here and done everything there is to do in the Xfinity Series this year. We've gotten 6 wins. We've gotten both championship trophies. So for me and my team, that's all we need. But the support that I've had this year outside has been, to me, surprising. It's been new to me. You know, when I started, I made a lot of mistakes on a national level, and got told by a lot of people about all the things I do wrong. And this year has been overwhelmingly supportive, and that's been kind of cool to experience. I'm not someone that really reads too many of the comments or anything on social media, but everything that I do see on the things that I post and the people that loyally follow me, it's pretty satisfying to know that I've come that far.
Next, we'll go to Jerry Jordan, then we'll go to Jenna, and then Cole down here.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. We know you guys are friends, but talk about your relationship and the competitive nature with Chase. And we saw him come over there and congratulate you, the hug after your celebration down on the track. Just what was that like, and the conversation between the two of you guys?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I know Chase. I mean, as teammates go, he's been one of the most competitive guys I've ever had as a teammate. Just not as far as lap time, but man, when he gets down, he's down, and when he gets up, he's up. You know, he's very, very focused and determined as a competitor. And I know it bothers him that he wasn't able to win the championship today, and for him to come over and congratulate us. I think it speaks to the friendship that he and I have built throughout the last couple of years, you know, especially this year, being able to race close and hard for a championship all year long. I mean, even from the start of the race in Las Vegas, but in tandem with that, to do the work we've done together on the super speedway races, where we're not even teammates, and we have meetings. We call each other every other day before these races and talk about different things we can do to be better. And that's all been set in place by Ford Performance, Mark Rushbrook, Pat DeMarco. Those guys have been really integral in keeping us paired up together. And as he goes to move on to bigger and better things next year, and I'm sure he's going to do really great, having some big shoes to fill in the 14 car. And I'll be excited to quietly cheer him on. Hopefully he doesn't beat too many Team Penske cars, but he can finish better than the rest. But it's going to be fun to watch him grow and develop, and try and catch up to him the following year.
Thank you, and congratulations on the championship.
Thank you.
Next, we'll take one from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Austin, once you cleared Allgaier, you didn't have to win the race. Did it mean something to you to win the race and win the championship at the same time?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, to that point, obviously, I made a slide job to try and win the race there. I think a lot of credit should be given to Noah there. I think his situational awareness of what was at stake between me and the 7, you know, as far as when we exited turn 4 there, 3 wide, and as far as the final lap there, as we were on equal tires. So I think he did a lot of the right things there, and I appreciate him being respectful in those scenarios. But yeah, winning the race is a big deal. You know, we've won on short tracks, road courses, mile and a half this year, and I wanted a super speedway this year, so that's another box to check for 2021, I guess. But the versatility in the schedule is something I really love about racing in NASCAR, and my career has been about being versatile. And yeah, there's a little bit of pride, but obviously you don't want to throw away a championship. So I didn't go 10/10 into the final corner, but I went 9.9, trying to make sure we solidly seal the deal.
And for a guy who had never won on ovals, you won on an oval to win the championship. I mean, what clicked for you?
I mean, I'm not sure a whole lot's been different since the start of the season. I think this is something that's been a long time coming. I really think about my first time coming here was in 2015, subbing for Austin Terrio in the truck, second truck start. Never seen this place in my life, and I struggled in practice. I had no idea what I was doing, and I started to figure out here and there, and I talked to Max Pappas on the grid, and he's obviously someone that has a background more similar to mine, and he pulled me aside. He says, look, I watched you all practice, and these cars don't do what you think they're doing. Like, they don't do what you're expecting them to do. And we talked about this for a while, and that was a great mindset change for me early on to understand that I have to approach these cars in a different way. And in a lot of ways, a lot of the opposite things make these cars click. And for me, that's been a progression, whether if it's how to get lap time out of the race car or how to ask for what I need throughout a race. And I'm quite proud of that. And I'm quite proud of the relationship I've built with Brian Wilson. He and I trust each other like we're brothers. So it's been fun to build that up, because when we raced here in the spring, I thought we were really good on the bottom. I thought we had a shot to win the race, had a shot to race with Kyle Busch. And as the track moved up, we weren't any good anymore. And I had problems at X, Y, and Z, and I need help here. And we need to do these things to be better. And those guys went to work between Brian and Matt Moat, my engineer, and Cody Sauls. Those guys did an incredible job. I think we tickled a little air pressure out of it today, and that's it. I mean, it's amazing the amount of things we changed and how close we were. I'm very proud of that effort, and I think that's a big deal in my progression on racing on these types of tracks with these types of cars.
Thanks, Austin.
Thanks.
I'll kick it down here to Cole and go up to the press box with Jim.
Cole Cusimano, Popular Speed. First off, congrats on a great season in the championship, Austin. The term growth has been used a lot post-race from yourself, Mr. Penske, and your father. I was wondering, looking ahead to next season, what's one area of growth that you'd like to improve upon before you presumably moved up to the Cup Series?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think for me, it's a lot of the small details that the guys on Sunday do really, really well, whether if that's projecting where the track's going to go or understanding what they need out of their car to be versatile. So those are things that I will continue to hone on. I think it's small details, but next year's not going to be easy. You know, winning races is not going to be easy. There's going to be great guys and great equipment, and we're still going to be able to get the job done. So I think the goals are all still the same as far as regular season and as far as in the playoffs. Yeah, on paper there's not a whole lot left, but for me there's a lot more left to study, and I'd like to hope to find myself at a capacity where I can stay at the track on Sundays and watch from the spotter stand. That was my goal initially to start the year, and I honestly think that helped me for this race. I stayed for the Cup race on Sunday, stood on the spotter stand and watched the whole thing, and picked up a lot of things that I felt like either worked or didn't work for me in the race, and gave me a lot of time to brainstorm. So I think those are all things that will contribute to my preparation for 2022 with the Wood Brothers, and obviously that's where my main focus is getting better every week.
Next, go to Jim Utter in the press box. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Austin, congratulations.
Thank you.
Your dad reminded us earlier tonight that when you said, I think you're around 10 years old, that you wanted to be a race car driver, you didn't get much support from your dad and mom about pursuing that career. I just wondered, what was it that about in you that made you want to keep pursuing it, even when you were reminded that mom and dad were only going to do so much and could only do so much, but you still wanted to go that direction?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, for me, I didn't know anything different as a kid, whether if that was, going to the 500 and cheering on Elio and Jill, or going to Mid-Ohio and being let loose and being able to walk around the track or take our bikes everywhere. And it's experiences like that from a young age that really I got the bug. And I think I definitely blindsided my parents when I told them that's what I wanted to do. And I definitely got a lot of negative feedback, and so much so that I pretty much wrote it off as, okay, they don't want this to happen. It's no problem. And then my dad came home from work on, I think it was either a Monday or Tuesday night, and he drove me to Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I sat in some kid's Bandolero, or I guess it was Matt Wallace's Bandolero, Mike Wallace's son, went sat in his Bandolero and saw what the summer shootout was, and saw a bunch of kids my age doing what I wanted to do. And from there, that turned into a birthday present, which was driving around at the 5th mile, which I'll stem off and tell a really funny story. Ken Reagan, who run 600 Racing, U.S. Legends, was there for my test. I drove Corey Gordon's Bandolero, and I'm sitting in the car. I'm on the staging grid, and he's telling me, all right, when you go out on the track, I want you to turn left. Like, he's completely kidding. And I totally took him seriously, pulled out of the staging grid and turned left and went backwards on the racetrack for like 10 laps. And I'm like, man, I'm digging. This is cool. This is a race car. And they're telling me to stop. And they're like, dude, you're going the wrong way. So that's how my racing career started. And we picked up from there.
And can you confirm that one of the things your dad tried to tell you was that you were too tall to be a race car driver?
I've been told I was too tall by a lot of people, and there's not been a single race car that I haven't been able to fit in. Some haven't been comfortable, some have hurt, some are fine. NASCAR is definitely the roomier of the race cars I've driven, so in more ways than one, this is a great home for me. But yeah, the tall thing is a myth as far as I'm concerned. When you got guys like Michael Waltrip squeezing into those twisted up cars they had back in the 2000s, and guys like Justin Wilson driving Indy cars, those are my two main points. I hit right off the bat when they told me I was too tall, and they knew I had at least done some homework.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Next, we'll take one from Deb Williams. Go ahead, Deb.
Congratulations, Austin. In addition to Coleman Presley having grown up in a racing family, he also drove or has driven late models. How or where has he benefited you the most?
Yeah, I mean, Coleman's been like a big brother to me, and not too many people know about his career, his background, but also the hard work he puts in, whether if that's on the Cup side or not. I mean, he lives about 2 hours away from Mooresville, and he makes the drive to either meet with Brad or myself. And I mean, we do a film review every week to where we talk about certain things. I call him after every race, and whether if it's just a sounding board or a mentor or someone that's a trusted voice, you know, he puts in the work. And I'm very, very fortunate to have a guy like that in my career and to help paint the picture for me. You know, there's a lot of things even tonight that we've talked about days in advance that we're able to understand even when I'm doing subtle things in the race car, and how he sees them from up top, I have no idea, but he sees the things that I'm doing and gives me feedback from a driver's perspective. And I mean, I've been fortunate to have a lot of great spotters in my career, whether if that's been Coleman, Joey Meyer, Josh Williams. Those guys have probably spent the most amount of time with me in my career. I've had plenty of other guys that I've worked with, but those guys have put in a lot of time with me, and I'm very fortunate for that, because I feel like that's a side in a relationship that doesn't get exploited very often. That's somewhere where I really enjoy his role that he plays within our team.
Just to follow up a little bit on that, well, you said you like to stand and watch the Cup race from the spotter stand. Do you stand there with Coleman when you do that and watch? You know, does he talk to you or explain to you what he's picking up on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's got a pretty important job to do, but I mean, we'll discuss things throughout the whole race. And I'll stand right next to him. He'll leave some room for me, and the other spotters are usually pretty friendly about it as well. So I enjoy doing that because it also gives me a perspective of when he gives me feedback, I know what he's seeing. So it works both ways. You know, I need a better perspective as a spotter, just as, you know, his perspective as a driver helps me. So that's been fun for me to do. Like I said, I had initially planned on doing that at every single Sunday this year, and obviously that's not able to happen. Yeah, I think that's any time you can watch race cars going around the racetrack, you learn something.
Okay, thank you, and again, congratulations.
Yep, thank you.
Go again to Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Austin, there's winning a championship, and I imagine someone like you might think, and then there's winning a championship for Roger Penske. What does that mean to you to be a Penske champion?
Yeah, I think it goes on a couple different levels. Obviously, when you race for Roger Penske, you're expected to be successful because we have the resources, we have amazing partners, and we have the equipment to be able to get it done. So Brian and I have to go to work on that and be able to continue to prove that. So I think in some ways, for him and me, it's a relief that we can have some success. But at the same time, to win for Roger Penske, you know, someone that's not only put a lot into my career, but has believed in a lot of drivers and has believed in my future. And it's great to be able to give back on that investment. But also at the same time, when you look at the season that Team Penske's had in 2020, you know, Joseph having such a close chance at the IndyCar Championship, Scott winning the V8 Championship, and he was also here today, which was cool. And then obviously the Cup guys have a shot on Sunday, and the IMSA guys have a shot next weekend at Sebring. So every single program has a shot at a championship, and to be part of that, but also to check our box and make sure we've done our part is pretty neat. And it's a fun culture inside that place, and it's been difficult not to go inside the building. I mean, I haven't really been inside the shop since March, and I'm someone that's at the shop every single day and says hi to most of the people I see. And that's been a difficult aspect of this year for me, and hopefully we can all get together and celebrate a championship the right way.
Thanks, Austin.
Take the next one from Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Congratulations, Austin. Just one question. Is there one area in particular where you feel you've made the biggest gains? Because looking at your career, you're more of a classically trained race car driver, where a lot of these kids are, even your best buddy Chase have come from dirt, but you seem more classically trained. Is there one area in particular where you feel like you have gained the most?
I mean, for me, my perspective, I feel like is definitely broader, and that's been an advantage to me and a disadvantage to me in my racing career. I've driven a lot of different cars, a lot of racetracks, a lot of teams, and a lot of people. I've been exposed to a lot, and it's taught me that a race car is a race car. It's got a motor and four wheels, and I feel like that perspective has helped me look at things clearly, and I usually don't make the same mistake twice because of that. So. Understanding what makes things work and putting a reason behind it, whether if that's asking Brian why certain things work. I mean, I'm not going to tell him what spring to put in the car, but if he explains to me why things work the way they work, I can give him better feedback. And with no data, with this not being a data-driven sport in NASCAR, I think that puts a lot of emphasis on me and what I can do to help Brian and the team develop our cars and that hard work that goes into it. So I feel like in the last couple of years, I've learned a lot about that. Early on in my stock car career, I didn't have trouble finding speed. I mean, 2018, which was probably my most highly criticized year in racing. I mean, I had several pole positions, and I was fast in practice all the time, and I would unload fast, but that doesn't cut it in NASCAR. And I've learned. I feel like the right things to have the right foundation to continue improving on that.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll wrap up our championship press conference with Mitchell Brewer. Go ahead, Mitchell.
Austin, you tweeted effort equals results when talking about your future plans earlier this year. Using that same mindset, what does it mean to have the effort you put forth with a successful season and with a championship?
Yeah, without a doubt. Obviously, that's the goal. Obviously, that's the mantra. Team Penske, effort equals results. And I don't boast the work that I put in, but I feel like there's very little I leave on the table as far as preparation. And I feel like this year in particular, with not having practice and not having a lot of, whether if it's dartfish or pictures or lap times or lap tracker to lean on, that preparation is that much more critical. And as a team, I feel like we already had the maximum set in place for what we do before every weekend, and I'm very proud of that. So for all of that preparation to lead to future opportunities, for all that preparation to lead to 2 championships this season, it means a great deal, and it motivates me to continue to push that envelope and to continue to have that mindset, because that's what's gotten me here.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Austin, that is it. Congratulations again on the championship. Outstanding year, outstanding race. And thank you for all the time.
Thank you.
Hold on. He doesn't need to rebound. Okay. Post-race inspection in the NASCAR Xfinity Series garage is complete. All clear. Lug nut violations, 1 lug nut each, not safe and secure for the number 7, 8, and 22 cars. Engine teardown will take place tonight. We'll send another update once that is complete, but teardown of the car is complete and all clear.
Alrighty, thank you to all the media that joined us. That will conclude our post-race media availability. We will have audio, video, and transcripts from all of this up on NASCARmedia.com shortly. And we will see you all tomorrow for the NASCAR Cup Series post-race championship. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to let someone.
The second straight night, I didn't shut down the Zoom. That will conclude our post-race press conferences. Come back tomorrow for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship press conferences post-race. Have a great night, everybody.